Hey everyone, welcome back. AmHidden here, picking up where we left off once again, because I have had to chop this video up into 4 sections. Yay! Probably even longer if I want to go into the coloring and the lining process. Coloring and shading process, rather. But we're picking back up. I'm going to get rid of that. Alright. Picking back up where I left off. I guess since inevitably I'm going to have to do a second video to lining, we can go in a little bit more detail. And I can show you how I would do that. I'm going to add a little bit of spadoodle there at the top. Sorry if I sound a little winded right now. I literally just got done playing with the dog. Inevitably, my breath will come back to me. But until then, I apologize. I've actually got dog hair all over my face, so let me try to... Yeah, it was. I said on my face. It was on my glasses. Anyways, so back to lining. Like I said in the previous video, just trying to make sure everything is nice, clean, closed. So you can see right there, there's a little bit that wasn't closed, even though there's a way to handle that. Alright, so you can see right here, I'm trying to imagine if there was like a stroke of hair right here. So I'm going to like go whoop. Maybe there's a little bit right there. Whoop. Come down here. A little bit right there. And that actually should cover the hair for the most part. Yeah, so let's move on down to the legs. It's still not a huge fan of the way I did these legs. But like I said, theme for this video series will be to roll with the punches. So I'm going to do big, long strokes to try to get the legs done. Staying very cautious about, just making sure that I'm not doing too many unnecessary strokes, because that'll make everything look a little too sketchy, and that's not the look that I'm going for, even though that is a completely valid style. See right here where I did these knee indentions? I'm probably going to leave that out for now. Maybe if I come back in here in a second, I might re-add those if I feel like there's too much negative space on the legs. But I gotta be careful of how I do them, because they can make the leg look odd if I don't do them just right. So, going to add a little bit of depth here to that boot. Maybe a little bit of these to break up that negative space, which I started talking about negative space in the previous video. So the concept of negative space is basically big open areas that are just white voids tend to be less aesthetically pleasing. So it's always a good idea to come back and look for those spots that are negative spaces and just put a little bit of extra anything there, because anything is better than nothing. Obviously, using nothing is important, right? So like anywhere there's not a line, that's nothing, right? But obviously if we fill it all in, it's just a black canvas at that point. So it's about adding little extra details here and there to fill negative space, rather than I guess what I'm saying is you can overdo it. That's actually what I'm trying to say. But even overdoing it's probably better than underdoing it, because underdoing it just will look very plainish. It's kind of like my philosophy with cooking, I would much rather have something over-seasoned than bland and boring. So, yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Ooh-wee, that was a good one. Okay, sorry about that. I don't like how I did this boot right here, a little bit too squarish. I'm going to come in here and try to correct that a little bit. Which even in the lining phase, you can see that I'm clearly not like perfectly mimicking the sketch. I'm not completely tracing it. And that's just because a lot of the lines, or when I do the lines rather, I'm just using the sketch as a general guide. Because if I do a line in the lining phase and I'm like, okay, that may not be exactly where I put it, but it looks fine. Or I did that stroke and it's slightly off the sketch, but it's a pretty good line, so I'm going to keep it rather than sit there and fight with it, you know. You can see right here that this one thigh is thicker than the other. I can zoom out and then turn off the sketch and turn off the other sketch. And that's not that big of a deal, but I think I am going to correct it. Because I see it and now I can't unsee it, and the way the hand is, it's not very good, so not good, but just pointlessly too thick. So going to trim that, and then just come in here, trim that. This is where I'll actually switch over to the erase tool, because I have the erase tool set to a bigger brush size, and just easier that way. Alright, so when I mentioned earlier that I wasn't going to do the kneecaps, I am going to go ahead and do them now, because I do agree that there was a little bit too much negative space there. Turn that other sketch layer back on. You can see that I didn't do it in the same spot that the sketch was. Right here, I think that needs to come in a little bit. And that's another big thing that I would say is we're drawing. We're, especially if you're more into the cartoon illustration side of things, is these things, like, everything doesn't have to be 100% realistic, you know. So we can actually go and do things and not really have to worry as much about realism. We're only using realism as an anchor to be able to understand what we're doing, right? And once we've established that, hey, this is a human being, that's pretty much, or not even a human being, hey, this is a humanoid, or this is, you know, whatever we're trying to portray. Once we've established that, we can take as many liberties as we want from there. So I kind of zoomed out of my ideal zoom there for a second. Probably going to go ahead and do one of these things to represent a dark shadow. Not necessary, especially considering I'm going to be doing coloring and shading, but I do like the heavy ink look, and try to put it where I can, and that's just generally one of the places I do it. I could do one right here too. So if I come in here, kind of like follow the leg up right around to there, and then maybe back here. I can use the fill bucket to just put that right there. I see there's plenty of areas where I can do that. So right here on the cleavage, I can do one right here. That might be too much. We'll see. So if I fill that in, turn off the sketches. I'll leave it, but I could easily just not do that, and I think it might even look better, but for the sake of the video, we'll just say whatever. I can put another one right here. And with this, it's like, alright, I could put one right here, I could put one right here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put in a few spots to get the idea of the heavy ink, because that's really all I'm going for. I just realized now, and I probably wouldn't have noticed this, except for I watched the previous video back and I noticed I forgot to do the eyebrows. So I'm going to take a big thick brush and just whoop some eyebrows. I like the way it goes through the hair. I know a lot of people don't. I personally think it's more important to have the expression of the eyebrows and everything done, rather than just the, I forgot the shoe. Rather than just leaving it out for the sake of realism. Like I said previously, you know, we're not here to be realistic. We're here to emphasize certain things, and that's really our goal. You know, we're emphasizing the cartoonish aspects, we're emphasizing the characteristics that we want to portray, and stuff like that. I'm actually happy because we're way under time and I'm actually nearing the end. So I guess I can take this time to say, hey, if you like what you've been watching and you've gotten this far into the series, or if you're, for whatever reason, tuning into the third part of I'm assuming this is going to be a 6-part series. I don't know why you would tune in now, but thanks for watching. If you like what you see, maybe hit that subscribe button, like button. Always leave a comment. I love reading comments. Actually, I love reading comments on just my generic images I post. So I would only assume I would also love reading comments here on YouTube. If you have any suggestions for videos, or if you want help with a certain thing, feel free to be like, hey, Hidden, how do you do this? Would love for some video ideas. I'm going to actually be right here adding a little bit of extra lines and details and stuff. So just another little thing. This right here, this little these little lines, you'll see them a lot, and what they're for is to give the person looking an idea of what the shape of these are, right? So they're not actually realistic in the sense of like they serve no purpose other than to tell whoever's looking at it that this object is slightly curved, right? You could do stuff like this right here to be like, hey, this object is slightly curved. Mostly on fabric, but you can do it on skin. I've seen it on skin. So you could come up in here and be like, hey, this object is curved. You know, but if you do it like on the arms right here, it'll look like hair. So if that's what you're going for, great. But you just have to be mindful of certain things like that. So with that being said, I think I'm going to add some pupils. Maybe add some little extra lining details in the hair. A little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Some big, quick strokes. Being very, very light on the pen to make them thinner. And turn off the sketch layer. Zoom out. I'll turn both sketch layers on and then off and then on to see if there's like anything that I'm missing or forgetting. But I think we're done. I could like, you know, come in here and add swords and stuff or whatever just to bring the overall aesthetic out, but I think we're good, at least for this picture. I'm going to try later to bring in some projects that I've already done and then go over each layer and how I got there. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to close the video out, shut it down, stop recording, whatever you want to call it. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out.